This week on Intrigued, full of fact.
Just simple words with changes, changes of how I feel sometimes, I got my moments where I can't take it.
I'm Chandrea Thomas, and welcome to episode 42, the first episode of season 4, by the way. In this podcast, I talk about curious cases, disappearances, and other stuff. And today, I'm talking about the disappearance of 23-year-old Veronica Reyes Diaz from Dover, Florida. It's a city just outside of Tampa. On Friday, January 17th of 2020, Veronica went out with a girlfriend for a night of fun and drinks, and was reportedly dropped off at home at around 1 a.m. By 1:45, Veronica had gone to pick up her kids from her sister's house who was babysitting. She made it back home and put her kids to bed, and allegedly went back outside to her SUV. But what happened after that is a complete mystery. I spoke to Veronica's father, Fidencio, and I reached out to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office about the case. This is what happened. Okay, so your daughter Veronica went missing, was reported missing on the 19th or 20th of January of 2020. So
Yes.
What happened that day? How did you know that she was missing?
On the 19th, Francisco texted me, her husband, asking me if I knew where Veronica was at, which I texted him back, wondering what's going on and why. And he go to tell me that from her going out Friday night, the 17th, that she never made it back home.
So she had been missing for a day or so before you even knew that she was missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you know about the person that she went out with that night? What do you know about that part of the story?
That part of the story, I knew it was a friend that she knew from like 10 to 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've been friends for, since elementary school. And they had planned to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Veronica, she's always been a stay-at-home mom.
Do you know what Veronica did that night or where they went? Just so you have an idea of like what her activities were leading up to her disappearance?
Well, I know they went out to eat at Chili's in Tampa, which is about 30 minutes from Dover, where she lives at. They went out there to, just to hang out, have a couple of drinks. And from what Mariah was telling me, she was getting phone calls from her husband, all night, just mad, yelling at her and, telling her she better get her butt home. And then I spoke with Mariah last week, and she was telling me the last phone call that Veronica got was at 12:30 a.m. And Mariah dropped her off at 1 o'clock in the morning. But he stated to the police that he was sleeping when she got home. After the report and all that, that he was sleeping. So at what point did she, during that night, she was with her friends, just make sure I'm clarifying this. She was with her friends. She went out to Chili's and had some fun and did all that kind of stuff. She gets a call at 12:30 and then she has to go home. Where does her picking up her kids fit into all of this? Where is that in the mix of this night? Well, her friend dropped her off at 1 o'clock, 1 in the morning. And she jumped in her GMC Yukon to go pick up her kids that her sister was watching. So she left. And on the way there, she got pulled over by a city police halfway there. So she texted her friend Mariah saying, I got pulled over because the tail light was out. But she made it to pick up her kids. She picked up the kids, got back home at 1:45. After that, we're lost. We don't know what happened.
What about the condition of her car? From what I understand, she has some things that were left inside of her vehicle. What's going on with that story?
Well, after she was reported Monday, I went to work, and after I got out, I got out by noon. And I went over there to see what was going on. And he told me that everything was left in the car. Her wallet, her keys, ID, everything. The only thing that wasn't there was her phone. And we're yet to find that phone. Well, he was more talking to my ex-wife, and they talked about doing the report Monday. And he wanted to do it at my ex-wife's house. He didn't want to do it at his house. I don't know why or what. So he took the boys and went to my ex-wife's house. And he didn't get there till about 3:30 in the afternoon, which my ex-wife thought that was kind of weird because they talked about meeting in the morning.
So you guys made the police report, and where do things go from there? Do you conduct your own searches? Do you go through her computer? I know you did your own investigating, right?
Yeah, for one, the officer didn't even want to do a report. She was like, well, she's a grown adult. She took off, blew some steam off, which actually frustrated the family. I was frustrated. My ex-wife was frustrated over it. So come Tuesday, I went back to the house, and my daughter, she had a laptop, a Chromebook that she would use. And the new phone she got was an Android. It's Google-based, so like the Chromebook. And I was able to hack her computer and get in there, and I figured out everywhere she went that night. It shows she went to Tampa, Chili's, got something to eat. She made it back home. And what I found kind of weird is it showed that her phone was in the area of her home that whole weekend. You know, I mean, and on Monday morning, her phone moved from that area. It showed some kind of movement.
So do you know where it moved from and to?
Well, what's weird about it is we're right next to her house. There's phone tower, and from what the officers told me, it don't show exactly pinpoint where it's at. It shows around the area, because I know when I go visit her house, it shows on my Google that I'm actually across the street at some subdivision.
Are there any surveillance videos or anything like that around her neighborhood that can show her getting out of her car or anything like that?
Yes, the mobile home right behind hers, they had 2 video cameras. One that faced the road and the other one that faced pretty much Veronica's front porch. And it shows her friend Mariah dropping her off at 1:00. And just because the way the mobile home park has multiple exits. I mean, it has one exit, but it's multiple ways to get to that exit. So it just showed her coming back at 1:45.
As far as her activity, you saw surveillance video of her being dropped off and then her leaving to pick up her kids, and then her coming back with her kids. You were able to see that?
No, I don't show her leaving because the way the cameras are and the mobile home park is, the mobile home park is actually like a figure 8. Okay. And then one corner of it's the entrance and the exit. Cameras were up in one corner of the figure 8. So if she goes the other way, it don't catch her leaving.
So you guys do the police report. What does the husband say? Like, what does he say to the police? Or what do you guys know about that?
Well, like I said, my wife, she's the one that was there. I was still working. I was still working when the report was made. But he told the police right off the back, you know, she was tired of the kids. She was talking about she was going to leave. And, you know, if anybody knows my daughter or anybody goes to do any research at all, you go through her Facebook. She was all about her kids. You know, every picture she posted, and there was about her and the kids. She loved her boys. Especially knowing me and her, we would talk every single day, if not every other day. You know, if it wasn't about the kids, it was something stupid, something just silly, you know.
You typically had at least contact with her at least every day or every other day. So there was no time period where she just like disappeared before in the past or anything like that.
Well, I mean, back in December, I guess they got into it, her and him. So same thing. She went to my sister's house, her aunt's, and even my sister will tell you, you know, he was calling her like every 10 minutes, yelling at her, you know, when you coming home? You know, just mad. And so after that little meeting they had together with her aunt, she decided she didn't want to go home. She went to her other aunt's house. So he called me the next day. So I, you know, where she's at, asking me. So I texted her and she gave me a big explanation of, you know, I'm tired of him. I'm tired of being controlled. You know, something has to change. And she just didn't seem too happy.
Monday comes, time goes by. Do you guys ultimately start your own searches? You put out posters. What did you do? I mean, aside from the police report, what did you do after that as a family?
Well, after you know, Tuesday, I think it was about Wednesday, I got all my siblings together and we said, I told her about it, you know, let's do a search, because where she lives at, there's actually like a big horse trails where people can go in there with horses, and there's a couple of ponds in there. I told him, I said, you know, let's do a search. You know, it's a big wooded area. And so I posted a little Facebook, you know, that she's missing, and when we want to do a search, which luckily we had over 100 something people show up on that Saturday after she disappeared. We had all kinds of people trying to help. I walked around kind of scared. You know, I was hoping not to find nothing, but just imagine, you know, as a parent, you know, you don't want to find.
Have you guys gotten any leads or anything? Like, did the streets say that they sightings of her or anything like that?
We got nothing. We got no sightings of her. We got nothing. I mean, you know, like I told the cops, you know, people just don't disappear. I mean, this is real life. You know, people don't just vanish out of thin air. I find it kind of weird that she made it home twice. You know, she made it home, left again, and made it back home. You know, everything got left behind. You know, if she wanted to leave, most women leave. They're taking their stuff with them, their wallet, their ID, you know, some clothes.
And I was going to say, like, since she's disappeared, has there been any social media activity, any social security, any bank activity, anything activity-wise with your daughter's identity in any way?
No. I mean, I know even when they handed out that tax money or whatever, I think it was last year, $3,000 or whatever. I know the cops, they went looking into bank activity and stuff like that. No, there was nothing. I mean, it's just something happened to her. This is not her. Like I said, me and her would talk every day. She's always been daddy's girl.
So what are police telling you about their investigation at this point?
They pretty much, I mean, what was it? I think it was last year in September. They pretty much told me they were done. There wasn't anything to do anymore. I mean, that's the last thing I want to hear.
When I made contact with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office about the case, I was told that the case is still open and active. They also produced their own podcast episode about the case.
Especially the police officers, on the missing, before you even assume and just want to say, she's over 18, she could take off. Do a little investigation before you even automatically assume that. Listen to the family. Listen, to mother, father, go through the social media. Because like I said, on her Facebook, she was all about her kids. And then if you go through there far enough, you see she would post a lot about me. Thank you, Daddy. Thanks for this. Thanks for that. If the cops did their job and investigated a little bit before they're automatically assumed, I'm pretty sure I would have had my daughter a long time ago. We don't pay our taxes for you to assume.
And that's the thing, like people say the first 48 is important. It is absolutely critical, that first 48 hours. So how can they just come to the conclusion of they just stop the investigation, or they just said, we're not going to look for her anymore?
Pretty much told me if a resident out there or somebody don't find a body and it's her, I won't be hearing from them again. Gotten to the point. Have
you taken on maybe a private investigator yourself to maybe see?
I looked into them, but somebody that I talked to, they're charging anywhere from $200 to $300 an hour. I mean, I don't have that kind of money. I can afford that. There's no way.
Most people can't. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially when you and me. I don't even make that kind of money. I got to work, all week straight, nonstop, pay for one day.
Tell me about your daughter. Tell me about her personality, what she's like. You said she was all about her kids. Tell me more about her. She funny? She serious? Tell me about that.
Well, Veronica, like I said, she's always been daddy's girl. I remember when she was a baby, all she did was cry when her mom left her and she was with me. And all she was crying. But as she got older, we became a little closer. And she, especially after me and her mom split up, she was all about her dad. I would get them every weekend. And I remember we would go shopping, and all she wanted to do was hold my hand. As we're walking down the aisles at the store. And it's just she's just always been my girl. She's real gullible too. She has a lot of trust in people, and she'll give you her shirt off her back to help you out. And I remember one time she told me, she was like, Dad, thank you. You've taught me a lot. You showed me that I have to take care of myself, look good all the time. Not just for everybody, but for myself, make me feel good.
Tell me about your last conversation with Veronica. What did you guys talk about and when was it?
Last conversation I had with her was actually on Wednesday, because on my route home from work, she was always, on the route home. I stopped by there Wednesday, and we talked a little bit. I played with my youngest grandson, and she told me, she's like, Dad, there's an adoption going through, because her two oldest boys didn't belong to Francisco, and he was going to adopt them. And, so she told me, she's like, take that day off, which was the following Wednesday, 2 days after, 3-4 days after she disappeared. She's like, take that day off. Will you come with us to court and we'll go celebrate, have dinner or something? I told her, I said, yeah, I'd be more happy to, so she sent me a picture of the paperwork to tell me what courthouse is going to be at what time. And that's the last time I had face-to-face conversation with her.
Wow. So as far as the relationship, it sounds like it was it was going back and forth. It sounds like, because they might fight a little bit, but then it sounds like he was in the process of adopting her two sons that weren't, because she had 3 kids total, right? So one with the husband and then 2 outside of who were outside of the marriage. Did that ever happen? Or I mean, where are the kids now?
Yeah, the adoption went through, and he has all three of the kids. But I mean, she loved her husband. I mean, don't get me wrong on that. You know, she was a housewife. She cooked him, dinner every night and make sure he had lunch for work. And, she took care of him, took care of the house. But I mean, I guess just like anybody in a relationship, you can push somebody so far where they'll still love you, but, they just don't want it no more. From what I've seen before all this went down, I thought they had a good relationship, but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors until you get involved into that relationship, which I found out after I did a lot of digging myself, especially talking to her friends also.
Well, with that, what did you discover?
I discovered, he had a lot of infidelity. I mean, he had girlfriend after girlfriend. I mean, he was time where he wouldn't come home at all, until 10, 12 o'clock at night. I think my daughter was she knew about it. She got, she was tired of it. You try to make things work as much as you can, but, you don't want to push somebody so far.
Tell me about the impact that Veronica's disappearance is having on you, is having on your family. I mean, it's got to be just extremely difficult with having the unknown with everything. How has that been affecting all of you?
Being almost 2 years already, I've learned to manage it. And I have my daughter, and I've been able to talk to her like I used to. When I talk about her and the situation, of course, it brings tears to my eyes. I mean, it just things ain't the same anymore. I mean, my daughter, she's pretty much one that started a family. She was my first daughter. She was the first granddaughter. She was the first niece to all my siblings. I mean, she was the firstborn in my immediate family. Everybody's taking a toll on it. They were just married for a year before she disappeared.
What do you remember about just that moment of being with your daughter and, on the dance floor? Because that video looks like it's just really, really important, that precious moment for you as a parent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was wonderful because I know, how much she struggled. Like I said, she had two kids from, before she got married with him. And she was a young mom when she had her first kid. She had a lot of struggles.
So what would you like to see happen now? I mean, I know of course, you would like to have your daughter back. Of course you would want that. But is there anything that you would like to see happen as far as the investigation or the police or the public or how anyone can help you guys in any way?
What gets me is, September when Gabby disappeared, they reported her missing and stuff. And within 2 weeks, there was a whole search for her. And she was just missing. Same thing, she was a grown adult. But my daughter come missing and, they didn't take it serious till it was, I believe, 2 or 3 months later. So when they finally seen that, it was serious.
I've had multiple people reach out to me about the issue with Gabby Petito and how her story was covered, how she was searched for, and all the attention that was paid to the case. And actually still now, there's still a lot of attention on the boyfriend on the daily news cycle. So how do you feel as a parent when you see this occurring and you look at the results of what happened with your daughter?
I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad. Gabby Petito got found. I mean, she didn't get found in the great way, but I'm glad she got found, and they're doing what they're doing to get her justice. But myself personally, I blame her being missing, not getting that attention she needs on the media. A lot of it has to do with the media. We called multiple news stations, and they told me without police calling us, we can't do nothing. And my sister, she knows one of her friends. She's a white girl, and she knows somebody who works at one of the news stations and put some strings for us. And we finally got it out there, which of course, since one did the story, the rest of them wanted to go in there and do the story.
So me as a person in the media, I'm asking you, what do you think needs to happen? What do you think needs to change with the way that these stories are covered as a parent?
I mean, even if any of the news channels, does a special at the end or at the beginning or whatever, about the missing, just a reminder of the missing, especially in your county. Because I mean, our county here, Hillsborough County, at least air it once a week or whatever, just a reminder, we got so-and-so missing, so-and-so missing, just kind of keep it out there.
Do you think race is a factor when it comes to how the stories are covered?
Well, I mean, that's a card I never wanted to play. It's a race card. Veronica's mom, she's white. My wife now, she's white. So, me, myself personally, I try not to see color. I try not to see that, or even play that card. But as for my daughter, I believe so. It's on who you are, ranked in society. I mean, if you're somebody with up in power, whether you're black, doesn't matter, but you're ranked up in power, then yeah, you can get the attention. But if you're lower class, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. If you're lower class, don't matter. Because I mean, even if a sheriff tries to help, then they're not going to help. Because if they do, they're not getting that out of it.
If by chance, if there was some way that your daughter was able to see this interview, or someone who has information about her were to see this interview, what would you say to them?
If they got kids themselves, I don't wish none of this on nobody. It's just the point of not knowing. It's the worst part of it. If you don't want to review yourself or whatever, at least put something out there where she's at, where I can finally bring her some peace.
What would your words for your daughter be at this point if she were able to hear you right now?
Just I love her and I miss her. And I know her boys miss her because they ask for her every time I see him. The youngest one, he don't even know you. He was too young.
So you do have a Facebook page for your daughter. What's been happening on that page? Have people been commenting a lot on there? You've been getting a lot of support on that page?
We just have a lot of followers. I mean, we'll get people who go in there, throw prayers in there.
So what would you say to the people who have been helping you and supporting you over all this time? What would your words be for them?
I like to say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing my daughter's, flyers, and we need all the support we can get. Especially, I mean, I might seem cool right now, but I have my moments. And just simple words would changes of how I feel sometimes. I mean, I got my moments where I can't take it.
When it comes to my final thoughts about this case, there are plenty of questions that come to mind. Now, we know that Veronica made it home twice that night, but what happened after that is a mystery. According to Veronica's father, the husband was sleeping and didn't hear her come in. And what about the strange activity on the cell phone? The family says it pinged at the house that Friday night and all weekend, and then there was nothing as of Monday when they filed the police report. And here's another thought. Is it possible that when Veronica went back outside, was there someone out there waiting for her? At this point, there's no other video of Veronica leaving again after she was seen on video bringing her kids home and being dropped off by her friend. And based on what the family says, while there were issues in the marriage, it's unlikely that Veronica would actually abandon all three of her children. There are plenty of unanswered questions about this case, but the bottom line is that Veronica vanished without a trace, and none of her personal information or social media has been active since her disappearance. The family is hoping to get more media attention for the case, and I'm glad that I could do my part. I'll keep you posted on updates on this case as I get them in. If you have a case that you want me to check out, just visit me on the Intrigued Full Effect Facebook page or email me at intriguedfulleffect@hotmail.com. Until next time, be safe and stay true. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Intrigued Full Effect, Curious Cases, Disappearances, and Other Stuff podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the host. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. The host of this podcast assumes no liability or responsibility for any activities in connection with opinions shared in the podcast. The podcast and blog associated with it shall not be used in any legal capacity or as a basis for expert testimony. Any copyright material in the podcast is approved by the owner or is part of the public domain. Music by Pond 5.